Texas flags, led by Councilman Gilmore.
Please stand and join me in a moment of silent prayer. Thank you.
Please join me in the pledges to our flags. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Next item is the Visitor Citizens Forum. At this time, any person with business before the council not scheduled on the agenda may speak to the council. No formal action can be taken on these items at this meeting. I do not have any cards filled out. Next item is the consent agenda. All the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be self-explanatory by the council and will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests. For a citizen to request removal of an item, a speaker card must be filled out and submitted to the city secretary. Excuse me, have been asked to pull item 4. Councilman Vaughn, entertain a motion except so with the exception of item 4 on the consent agenda.
Mayor, I make a motion that we close the consent agenda with the exception of item 4.
Second.
Have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item 4 by Councilman Vaughn, a second by Councilman Durham. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 4 is approval of an agreement with Freeze and Nichols to perform professional services in connection with the Louisville Vision 2025 Long Range Plan. The City Council directed during the fiscal year 2012-2013 budget process that a consultant be hired to develop a long-range plan. Staff advertised the request for proposals in October 12 and received a total of 8 proposals. The firm of Freeze and Nichols is recommended based on their extensive experience with similar process as well as their extensive knowledge of the North Texas region. The contract in the amount of $228,000 will be paid over 2 fiscal years, with $160,000 in fiscal year 2012-13 and an additional $68,000 in fiscal year 2013-14. Funding for the first year is available in the fiscal year 2012-13 budget. Recommendation of staff is that the council approve the agreement as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Durham?
Mayor, I'm going to make a motion to approve as presented, waiting on further discussion. I'll just put that out on the floor.
Have a motion by Councilman Durham to approve.
Second.
A second by Councilman Ferguson. Was it? Come out by Councilman Ferguson. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor. I'd just like to explain, I asked the item to be pulled from the agenda in the workshop meeting, and I gave my reasons there, but since this meeting is recorded, I'll just repeat what I pretty much said in there. Back at the last retreat, the item came up for $160,000 for a facilitator to facilitate a meeting to get citizen input. I'm all for citizen input. I think it's great. I just think that something like this could be done internally to get ideas and compile ideas. Because ultimately what it comes down to is what the business owners and private property owners in Louisville, plus those on the council, do in the next 10 years, or things can happen in the next 10 years. It's going to be what it's going to be. And now on, I voted for, back then I voted against $160,000. And it's not anything against the consultant or anything. I just think we could do it internally. Now, tonight is to add another $68,000 to that to make it $228. So I'm going to continue with that theme, and my reasoning is still the same to not vote for this. However, should this pass tonight, I will be a very energetic and happy participant in the process as a team player. And from that point, we go forward in this process. So I don't want people to think like, oh, I thought you were against it. It's what it is, you know, we're going to go forward. If it fails tonight, then I'm going to encourage that we continue getting input from our citizens and increase that dialogue and do what we can and do it internally.
Okay.
I don't think,
Okay, Councilman, I admit it, I forgot, I was given a card here. We had a card for a speaker. Let me have this speaker. Go ahead
All
and
right.
speak. Brent, if I could, Brenda Latham, if you would give your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Brenda Latham. I live at 1553 Parkside Trail. And I really just wanted some more meat discussion on this topic. I think that it's great that we are going to put a plan together to take us through to the year 2025. And I'm grateful that it's going to include citizens. Totally understand the concept of needing a facilitator. We just went through something recently on another board that I'm on. I guess I need to know the scale and what all this company is going to provide, because this price tag seems very pricey. We just went through something recent at the school district that was a large venture, but our consulting company only charged us $50,000, and that was over 32 meetings. They did all the documentation. They facilitated all the meetings. Our staff was only there for logistic purposes. So I guess I want to know, what am I, the taxpayer, going to get for this $200-something thousand?
Mr. King, did you want to address that, or would you like to get with her privately?
Well, I can go ahead and get her additional detail on the scope later on. We are actually familiar with the school district's contract and looked at the scope of that comparatively to what we had in mind. And the scope here is larger.
Could you tell me what that scope is so that
Well, it
everybody
involves
else-
everything in the city, basically, everything from quality of life, parks, recreation, regulation, overlay districts, amortization concepts, economic development, you name it, everything that goes on in a city, service delivery. All of these things are issues for the future of Louisville, and we're trying to get some feedback from the citizens who are at the top of the pyramid, so to speak, on what they think is important going forward in the next 20 years.
Right.
So when you look at the scope of services that a city provides
No,
comparatively to
I
a
meant
school
the
district,
services that this company is going to provide.
but again, they're looking at those services that a city provides. They're looking at everything that the city does, basically, and trying to determine what those priorities should be for what it does in the future. And so the scope of what we do as a city is probably on a little bit larger scale, not necessarily larger in a sense of the number of people affected, but the things that we do cross so many different areas of expertise. Again, water, sewer delivery services,
Yeah, we were just
economic development.
redesigning
We have a wider range. School districts are primarily focused on education. Cities are focused on a whole lot of things. And so it's that scope of those other things that drives the need for more time and effort.
So I just want to, I don't think my question was clear. I'm looking for, what is this company going to do for $200-and-something thousand other than facilitate 14 to 16
There's a lot
meetings?
of data assembly, there's a lot of data analysis that they'll be doing.
So will they be doing like a demographic study of sorts?
Well, they'll be reviewing the demographics.
Oh, okay, so we already have one of
Sure,
those.
that's part of the puzzle that is Louisville right now.
And then will they be doing any like designing of proposals or anything
Designing of proposals.
of whatever this committee comes up with?
Sure, they'll be facilitating all kinds of ideas.
So they'll be doing the documentation of what comes out of
Yeah,
these meetings
sure.
as well?
They'll produce the final report and recommendations for council to adopt.
Okay, and then do we know how large this citizen committee is going to be yet?
That's to be determined.
Okay.
We're estimating it's probably going to be less than 20 all told, but it depends on the number of committee groups that the council opts for, what types of topics they want those committees to focus on. In fact, we are kind of leaning on the school district example here by having committees that are oriented toward specific areas.
Specific areas, right?
And so we think that's a good model to use, and you could come up with 3, 4, 5 committees, probably at the most, and then if you populate those with 4 to 5 members apiece, and you can do the math and come up with the number of people that you would need to have involved.
And when do you plan on having those type of details out for Joe Citizen to review?
Well, as far as the committee structure,
Yeah, what's your plans
committee
are?
structure, we probably won't establish until early May.
Okay,
And that's to give the consultant time to get up to speed on everything that's going on so they can make some intelligent recommendations as to what that structure needs to look like.
okay, so this process isn't even going to start until June?
Well, it starts now as far as the consultants are concerned, but there's a lot of legwork that they have to do to get up to speed. And by the way, the staff is also going to be doing some of that. You mentioned that the staff was there for not just logistic support, but I think for other types of support for the committees as well at the school district, and we'll be doing the same thing here.
Okay. I think that's all. Thanks, Mayor.
One question I had, since you are on the school board, right? Somebody was asking me the other day, one of our citizens, and they said they saw where the school board actually had in their charter, or that their school board meetings would be held on the second and fourth Mondays of the month,
No.
but that they're not ever held that. In fact, they're not always held on the same time.
No.
Do you know, can you tell us about that? What's the right,
Yeah.
what's the dates that you have your school board meeting?
Our school board meetings are the second Monday of every month, and they are streamed live on the internet now, as well as archived on the internet. So if you're
Okay,
not
the
able to
second
be there.
Monday. So they're not held on the same nights that ours are. Sometimes they
Yeah,
have been.
sometimes they are.
Why do they do that?
Well, we cover 13 different communities.
Right.
So we can't avoid all the,
No, I
City
mean,
council meetings.
if you're scheduled to do it on the second, why do you change it, is what I'm asking.
the only reason they would change it is if there is a holiday or like Martin Luther King Day.
Right.
That interfered with our school board meeting, so we had to move it.
I think there's been other times they've been changed when it wasn't a holiday, they just changed the date.
Yeah, it's usually a holiday or something else big going on in the district where there was a
I'll
conflict.
tell them to give you a call, and maybe you can help them figure out, because they're trying to figure out the dates. They said it showed, I guess it was the second, but that they said it wasn't always on the second.
Yeah, it most likely is the second Monday of every month. And they also have a list of the exact dates, because if we're going to change a meeting, we change it like at the beginning of the year. So the dates that we're going to have our meetings are also
Okay.
posted on the website. But yeah, they can call me or email me.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
Wait a minute.
One other comment for you. Have you looked at the professional services agreement that's online regarding this consultant?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay. There's a
That's why I wanted
13,
more meat. I didn't see the.
well, it's on page 27 of the support materials for this council meeting. That's a 13-page document. Pages 1 through 6 in particular outline what the responsibilities are of the consultant. So I think a lot of your questions, if you'll
Oh, okay.
look at that document, you'll find the answers are in the first 6 pages.
And you can also look at the retreat backup, because we're going to be following up this meeting with a retreat discussion on much the same thing that you're talking about right now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, good.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mayor, if I may just wrap up.
Okay.
So anyways, I was saying that I'd spoken with Mr. King, and he feels that this is going to be a much larger scope, and I said, oh, that's great. As I was saying, that the decision's going to end up being what it's going to be when we get there with the council and the citizens' input. Still want all that. I just think that it can be done internally. So we have a little disagreement there. That's okay. That's what, I feel I'm doing what I'm elected for, to watch the nickels and dimes, dollars will come together. If this passes tonight, I will be a enthusiastic, energetic participant in the process, because it's going to go forward. This weekend, as it was alluded to, we're having our retreat here in town at the Tilton Garden Inn.
Let's stick to the topic on the item, on the agenda.
This item will be at that retreat.
No, this item, we're talking about right now. Is there any other discussion on this item right now?
People want to know more
Is
information.
there any other discussion on this item right now?
I have a couple of things to say, Mayor. I find it interesting, on the consent agenda, the very first thing tonight, we approved $345,000 for construction management services for our new pump station. And we did that because our staff came to us and said, we don't have the time, the resources, or the expertise to be able to manage this, and it makes more sense for us to outsource to, guess what, a consultant. You can call them whatever you want, but if somebody else is managing and doing your job because you need the resource, they are a consultant. So here we've spent $345,000 without a blink, without a comment, without anything, and now we're talking about this particular project, which is going to set the standards and set the goals and get community input. I don't know if it's an issue with consultants. I don't know if it's an issue with just the money. But I find it very, very interesting that, you know, as a council, we didn't have any issue with an item 3 items earlier,
Is that correct?
and yet we have that. No, I'm not talking to you, John. I'm just pointing out some facts of the meeting today. So, you know, at this point, you know, I believe that this is going to be money very well spent. I used the 2010 plan myself on several of the committees that I was involved with. It gave me a lot of good direction, and a lot of thought went into that process. This one is much bigger than the 2010 program. It talks about economic development. It talks about demographics. It speaks to our police and fire. It speaks to our growth and the things we have to do to be competitive. And by the way, it does it at a third or less of the cost of some of our neighbor cities. For example, Denton just finished or just started up the same process, and it was over $600,000. So I think we're getting a pretty good value here. Of course, we always want to watch the pennies, but I also believe that you have to invest in your city to make sure that it grows. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other councilman have any discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Next item is consideration of 3 variances to the Louisville City Code, Section 6-103, regarding control of access, driveway, spacing requirements in Louisville City Code, Chapter 5, Article 3, Section 5-94, International Fire Code regarding fire lane width related to the Bankston Nissan of Louisville located at 1601 South Stevens Freeway, as requested by Doe Kim, Multitech Architects and Engineers on behalf of the owner. The subject site is a 6.629 acre lot zone light industrial within the Bankston Nissan addition. Bankston Nissan currently owns the developed property and is in the process of permitting an expansion to the showroom and service department. Staff has reviewed and approved the engineering site plan for Bankston Nissan, subject to the City Council approval of the 3 variances. A, to waive the minimum control of access for existing driveway on Stevens Freeway. B, to waive the minimum driveway spacing requirements for 2 existing driveways on the subject property and on Stevens Freeway. And C, to waive the minimum fire lane width for an existing fire lane. Recommendation is the City Council approve the variances as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Grina?
Mayor, I move to approve the variances as presented.
Have a motion to approve as presented by Councilman Grina,
Second.
second by Councilman Gilmore. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is consideration of an ordinance amending the Louisville City Code, Chapter 16, Section 16-99 and 16-100 regarding emergency cleaning of private residential sewer service lines and procedures. The city will cease any cleaning of sewer line stoppages in residential private sewer lines effective March 1st, 2013. The ordinance retains that maintenance of the private residential sewer lines is the responsibility of the owner, tenant, or occupant, however, removes language regarding city requirement to clean sewer line stoppages in the private sewer line from the house to the city sewer main. Recommendation is the council approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Gilmore.
Move to approve as written.
Have a motion by Councilman Gilmore to approve as written, and a second by Councilman Ferguson. Discussion? All in favor?
Mayor?
I'm sorry.
Councilman Vaughn.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second by Councilman Vaughn. I beg your pardon, sir. Counselor?
This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Louisville, Texas, amending Chapter 16, Article 2, Division 5, Private Residential Sewer System Line Cleaning of the Louisville City Code by amending the regulations and procedures for cleaning and repairing private residential sanitary sewer service lines, providing a repealer, providing for severability, providing a penalty, providing an effective date, and declaring an emergency.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I apologize, I skipped over item 6. My page stuck together there.
Thank you, Mayor. I thought I'd had a stroke or something.
Now, when I turned the
I thought I'd
page,
missed it.
when I turned the page, they were just together from 5.
That might have still happened, you know.
Item 6, consideration of an ordinance approving the 2012 Annual Assessment Service Plan updates for the Louisville Castle Hills Public Improvement District Number 2. The City Council created Louisville Castle Hills Public Improvement District Number 2 in 1999. A supplemental assessment service plan was adopted for PID Number 2 on October 18, 1999. Chapter 372 of the Texas Local Government Code requires that an assessment service plan be updated annually. The plan defines the annual indebtedness and the projected cost of the improvements to be provided by a PID and the manner of assessing the property in the PID for the cost of the improvements. Recommendation staff is council approve the ordinance as set forth in the caption above. Councilman Ferguson.
Move to approve as stated and written.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Ferguson and a second by Councilman Vaughn, correct? Counselor?
This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Louisville, Texas, updating the assessment service plan and assessment roll for Louisville Castle Hills Public Improvement District Number 2, providing a repealer, providing for severability, providing an effective date, and declaring an emergency.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 is consideration and act upon adoption of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of property in fee simple title for the public use, providing access to the Old Town Plaza, and to undertake all associated drainage, slope, and utility improvements. The project determining the public necessity for use for such acquisitions, authorizing the appointment of an appraiser and negotiator as necessary, authorizing the city manager or his designee to establish that just compensation for the property rights to be acquired and to take all steps necessary to acquire the needed property rights in compliance with all applicable laws and resolutions, authorizing the city manager or his or her designee to institute condemnation proceedings to acquire the property interest in purchase negotiations are not if purchase negotiations are not successful, ratifying prior documents executed by the city manager necessary for such acquisitions, authorizing disposal of certain improvements, providing for repealing, savings, and servability clauses, and providing for an effective date. The city has authorized the development and construction of the Old Town Plaza. 12 out of 13 properties have transferred ownership of property to the city for the project. One property, identified as Old Town Flying Pig LLC, does not wish to participate in the project through donation of required property, 906 square feet, or modification of an existing 15-foot sanitary sewer easement to a 15-foot utility easement. Thus, the requirement for a resolution to acquire property throughout eminent domain procedures. The city will first attempt to purchase the necessary property from the landowner through the making of a bona fide offer prior to filing an eminent domain proceedings. The recommendation is that council consider and adopt the resolution as set forth in the caption above by using the following motion, which is prescribed by state law. Councilman Vaughn,
Mayor, I make a motion that we,
if you will, make that
Yes.
motion.
All right.
Okay, you got it. Okay, thank you, sir.
I move that the city of Louisville, Texas, adopt the resolution described in agenda number 8 and authorize the use of power of eminent domain to acquire for public use the property in fee simple depicted on and described by meets and bounds in attachment 1 attached to said resolution. Said depictions and descriptions being incorporated into this motion for all purposes, for the public access to the Old Town Plaza, and to undertake all associated drainage, slope, and utility improvements.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Vaughn, a second by Councilman Ferguson. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that brings us down to reports. Nika. Ann, good to have you here tonight. Anything? Chief? No, sir. Melinda? Chief? No, sir. Carol? Nothing? Ms. Barron? Nothing? Brenda? Mr. Ferris? Mr. Backus behaving next to you there, Mr. Ferris? You know, all right. Mr. Backus? Is Mr. Ferris behaving? No, I didn't.
No.
Okay. Councilman Durham?
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Councilman Corina?
I just want to remind the citizens that our retreat is in town at the Hilton Garden Inn south of the mall. Starts Thursday night at 6 p.m., I believe. Come and sit in the Thursday evening, all day Friday, and most of the day Saturday, or all day Saturday. And it's all of it, or almost all of it, is open meetings. So I'm not sure if we're going to have any closed meetings, but those are usually short and easy to wade through. So I hope to see you there.
Councilman Gilmore?
Mayor, I'd like to let everybody know that in the next couple of weeks, you're going to start seeing Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, all sorts of scouts roaming the neighborhoods. It's coming up on the Scouting for Food event And please, if you could, donate generously. The food pantries in the area are very, very lean. My church just did a food drive for CCA, and it is empty over there, folks. So help the scouts, and if you can't wait for the scouts, go buy some food and take it over to the pantry. That's all I have, Mayor.
Mr. City Manager. Councilman Ferguson.
Yes, sir. I have just a real summary of events going on at the MCL Grand Texas Nonprofit Theater's Quad Fest on February 2nd, Simple Sparrow Dance Company on February 7th and 8th. Sorry, I don't have times in my email. I just have dates. Texas Tune Concert, Amanda Shires, that's on the 9th. I believe that starts at 7 o'clock, and y'all really ought to come. Acting Studio doing Annie Jr. on the 15th, 2 performances. Louisville Lake Symphony on the 22nd with their annual Young Artist Competition. And State of the City's Luncheon on the 26th. That's with the different cities. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Vaughn.
Nothing, Mayor.
Counselor? Julie? Officer, once again, we appreciate you being here tonight and appreciate what you do each and every day, sir. Thank you. And as was said earlier, I do invite everyone to please come and attend our retreat this weekend. It'll be Thursday evening, Friday, and Saturday. With that, in accordance with Texas Government Code, Subchapter D, Section 551.071, consultation with attorney pending litigation, City of Louisville versus Page Sutherland Page, LP, and PSP Architects, Engineers, Inc., Clause number 2012-30864-211, 211th Judicial District of Denton County, Texas, and Section 551.072, Property Acquisition, and Section 551.087, Deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. We'll now convene into closed session. In the regular session, is there any action to be taken, council?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Have a motion adjourned by Councilman Green, a second by Councilman Gilmore. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Good night.